What is up, guys? So I've got my Dinosaur deck profile for you here today. This deck is really awesome, just amazing at dealing with the meta, and it's also not too expensive. So if you're a budget player, I definitely think this would be a good one to go with. I do have some expensive techs in this, but you can definitely get away playing this deck at a budget level because it's just very effective, and most of the cards do come in that Dinosaur structure deck. You also have one of the best boss monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. If you haven't already, go and watch my top 10 best boss monsters video. Tyranno does make that list along with a lot of other monsters. He's just such a strong boss monster to have in archetype, really. I don't know how Dinos would even manage if it wasn't for him, to be honest. He's just so good. And then they've got so many stars and extenders as well, which makes them really strong. The release of Yugioh Sagosaurus was just amazing for Dinos, really propelling them, in my opinion, into the meta, making sure that they always have a way to kind of start and extend their combos. But let's get into that deck profile. So to start off with, we've got 2 Tyranno, obviously, amazing boss monster. Can special summon him from the hand by banishing 2 dinosaurs, but you're almost always going to summon him with your double evolution pill because that's very easily searchable. Summon him directly from the deck is just amazing. I do like having 2 because I don't obviously want to lose one and then kind of be screwed. You can only recycle it with the Quatless if Quatless happens to be in your hand, which is why I want to have 2, of course, just in case I lose the first one. If you do see one on the field, though, a lot of the times, I mean, your opponent is unlikely to survive that battle phase. I mean, he's just so good. And then he's also got his really cool Book of Moon effect for disrupting your opponent. Ending on a board of Tyranno plus one of your Evolvals, it seems unassuming, but it's actually a really strong board because you've basically got 2 Solemns plus a Book of Moon, a Book of Eclipse more like, for your opponent. I mean, that's hard for a lot of decks to get over, so even going first, this deck does do a lot, and it can make a board like that off like 2 cards as well. It's just insane. Moving on, we play 1 True King with Jim the Disaster. I really like him just for the extra deck rip. That's why I do play him. Extra deck rip is nice. He also helps proc your Petit Pteranodon, I can't pronounce that long, and Baby Pterosaurus, really good card. And he's nice just as another body on the field. I don't play Calamities in this variant. I'm not really focused on the extra deck, which is why I play Extrav. I do have cards in the extra deck, and I do want to go into it, but I'm not too bothered if I don't. I mean, I'm going blind second trying to beat out my opponent with my main deck, especially because things like Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman is in the meta at the moment, and even Fluffle's playing things like Artifact Scythe. I don't want to rely on the extra deck. I want a deck which everything I can do with just the main deck, which is why I'm more focused on the main deck variant. We also saw Team Samurai top with this, or I don't know if you can call it a top. I'd still call it a top. He managed to beat a lot of strong Yu-Gi tubers and pro players with a Dinosaur deck similarly, focusing on the main deck, and I think that's really the way this deck needs to be played, because that's its biggest strength. You've got such a strong boss monster in your main deck, so you don't have to worry about comboing and stuff and then just getting ashed and all of that nonsense. I mean, like, just playing the main deck. But anyway, yeah. So the 1 Jim in the main, got the 1 Dogoran just because he's searchable. It's nice to have a Kaiju in the main deck that's searchable, so you can pop your opponent's cards if you need to. And then also just because he's a big body, in case you do have to summon him off of your evolution pill in the situation where you already have your Tyrannos on field and you don't have anything else to summon with evolution pill. We've got the 1 Quatless search evolution pill, and also because it's another negate on the field. Also does do a bit of recycling, but I don't think I've ever used that effect, to be honest. It's not that relevant, but it could potentially come up, you never know. But then moving on, we have the 1 Dino Wrestler Pancratops, amazing card. The fact that you can summon this as well very easily with your Petit Pteranodon or your Baby Pterosaurus or your double evolution pills. I mean, it's just such a strong card. Pancratops, there's a reason why it's only at 1. I mean, I remember the meta where 3 instant fusion, 3 mind control, 3 Pancratops in your extra deck. That was how you did things. I mean, that was insane. But unfortunately, Konami wants us to spend money on extra decks, which is why we can't do it anymore. But yeah, you definitely want to have 1 Pancratops in this deck. Then we play the Giant Rex for more rank plays. He's really good extender. Once you get him in the graveyard, he just keeps coming out because there's so many different ways to banish him. You've got your Misk, you've got your Tyranno, you've got your evolution pills. I mean, it's just such a good card and can keep extending. Also, you can get pretty good attack as well, depending on how many cards you have banished, which is nice. You have your Miscellaneosaurus. This card coming to 3 really propelled dinosaurs into the meta as well. I mean, just the ability to say no to any sort of negation or effect your opponent has, it's insane. It makes them immune to pretty much every single interruption that your opponent could have, which is amazing. One thing you do have to keep in mind is this only applies during the main phase. It's one of the big weaknesses of dinosaurs, I'd actually say, is the fact that in the battle phase, you can just flip some of those disruptions and stuff and they won't be able to do anything about it. So yeah, definitely keep in mind, but very good card. protects your board, also a starter to summon your Dual Beast Argosaurus or to summon an Oviraptor later in the game. This does a lot. Once they've got, I would say, this card, either Miscellaneosaurus plus Oviraptor or Dual Beast plus Oviraptor, combos like that is so hard to beat dinosaurs from there. I mean, they just extend into oblivion with that. Even with this, you see, I don't really have much extra combo pieces, but I don't need them because everything in the deck is so easily searchable. We have Oviraptor, one of the best normal summons in the game, in my opinion. Just it's a Armageddon Knight, but basically for dinosaurs. So obviously you're going to be sending a dinosaur to your hand or to the graveyard, and this is why I also like the one kind of Dogon. I think pretty much everyone does that kind of one Dogon in the build because it's just nice. You can instantly search a Kaiju if you need it. You can send your baby Ceratosaurus or your Petit Pteranodon. You can send your Miscellaneosaurus. You can send your Dual Beast. I mean, it's just such a good card. And then it's also got the destruction effects on top of that. Everything about Oviraptor is amazing. Moving on, we play Gamma. Gamma is the best hand trap in this format, definitely, if you're going second as well. And especially for decks like this that can sort of are going to be using things like Extrav, they're going to be using your Misc, Engrave and stuff like that. It's a really good hand trap for kind of stopping people, negating those effects. So yeah, really like Gamma in this format. Definitely would be playing him at 3 if you're going second. If you're going second, I do think he is very worth having. I don't really know any other hand trap I'd rather have other than him. Then we've got 2 baby, 1 petite. There's different ratios you can go with this. I do like this because they're so easily searchable, and also because, again, I'm really focused on just OTKing with Tyranno. I'm not focused on too much heavy comboing. So these are really good cards, but I don't really need to see them that much. Baby Ceratosaurus is really more for drawing out my Oviraptor or my Misc if I need it. That's her main purpose. Petite Pteranodon isn't as useful. Most of the time, I'm only gonna, if I do use it, it's gonna get the Pancratops, maybe sometimes the Quatless, but yeah, it's just a lot less important, which is why I only have 1 of those, but still very good cards. You can play 3-3, for example, if you're playing a more combo heavy variant, but just for this variant I wouldn't do that personally. Gonna be playing 3 Veiler. The reason why I've gone with Veiler over Ash in this instant is simply before the Hulk Firebrax into access code combo. That's the only reason why I chose Veiler. But if Ash is just as good, to be honest, you could play 2 Veiler 1 Ash or 2 Ash 1 Veiler instead. You could just play 3 Ash and not play that combo if you can't afford access code talker. But yeah, it is a really good card. Another good thing about Veiler obviously is it's not a once per turn, which I do like, because it means if I draw 2, I'd have 2 negates as opposed to drawing 2 Ash, and you can only use 1. We have the 3 Dual Beast Argosaurus, very good card. Obviously going to allow you to extend your combos, and it's also going to search a double evolution pill. This card originally made me feel like not using Overtext Quatless, but I actually really like the ability of Overtext Quatless to negate monsters as well. I think that negates spells on field as well. I think that effect made me still want to have Quatless in my deck just in case I do bring him out. But this card is amazing, and this is usually how I'm actually going to be selling my evolution, searching my evolution build, not through Quatless. But yeah, really good card. Then in your spells and traps, I'm going to be playing 3 Lightning Storm. So this can be switched for anything. You can play Mystic Mine instead as a budget variant. You can play Evenly Match. You can play Dark Real. There's so many cards you can switch this for. But I do like Lightning Storm just because it helps me deal with back row. I like having back row removal in my side deck, especially when you have a deck like Eldritch running around, which does focus a lot on back row, or on Dragma, for example, another deck that tends to have quite a bit of back row. It's really nice to have Lightning Storms in the main deck to deal with those. But yeah, you can switch this for Twin Twisters and stuff like that as well. Got the 2 double evolution pills, really good cards, summoning your Tyranno from the deck. That's what you're almost always going to be using it for. We've got 3 Fossil Dig, amazing spurt search card, obviously to get our Oviraptors usually, or to search whatever dino you need in that instant. 3 Extravagance. So for example, I haven't got that kind of Extravagance extra deck where everything's at 3, but that's because 9 times out of 10 I'm not bothered about my extra deck. I don't usually have to go into, or if I do need to go into it, it's very easy to go into it early on. Yeah, like for example, I've got 3 different Evolves Walls because I know I'm going to keep at least 1, and both of them are really good to have, to be honest. Same with Dweller. But yeah, Extravagance is a really good card. So you can go for like the greedy Extrav extra deck where you're playing like 3 of each card, or you can do what I've done and just have an extra deck just in case it's there. It's nice, but if you don't go into it, it really doesn't affect anything. Yeah, but I do like playing Extrav free. Extrav can also be switched for Desires in this deck. You can switch around some ratios and play Desires instead. Another card you could play, for example, is like Upstart. You can play Upstart and then play like Allures and stuff for your Oviraptors because they're darks. There are a lot of different draw spells you can play, but you are going to see the best results with Extrav, in my opinion, which is why I do play Extravagance in this deck. We've got the 3 Lost World, very good field spell. I do like it just because it helps to chain block your Oviraptors, and it's also nice because that denial of targeting is just a really strong effect to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's so often where I'll notice I have a Lost World on the field, and then my opponent suddenly can't target. They don't realize why they can't like suddenly pop a card on my field. Even things like in Perm, for example, they can't use in Perm because they've got a token now. They can't use I don't know, I can't think of any other hand traps, but yeah, it's just a really good card. And obviously it's gonna be searching cards. It will cost you your battle phase to dump a card, but it's still a really good card. Love Lost World, definitely gonna play that at 3. This can also be taken down to 2, and you can play 1 Mystic Mine instead if you wanted to. But moving into the extra deck, so I have 2 IP Masquerader. So the reason why I went with 2 IP Masqueraders, just 1, is because I actually really do like the interaction of IP Masquerader to kind of tag out on your opponent's turn. And this is probably the second most important link monster here, which is why I definitely do want to see at least 1. That's why I've got 2, just in case Extravagance banishes 1. It probably would banish both, but yeah, do like Masquerader. We've got Halka Fibrax to go, and Celine and access code to go into that combo in case it survives. If it doesn't, not that deep. We've got Nightmare Package because the Nightmare Package is good. You could just play more Phoenixes or more Unicorns instead of Cerberus. Cerberus tends to be less important. Pentastag, a really good link monster to go with Tyranno. I mean, if you get Pentastag plus Tyranno on the board, which is very easy, you're almost certainly going to OTK your opponent because you're going to be doing huge amounts of damage to them. Then we've got our Boral Sword, just another way to OTK. Abyss Dweller is just a really strong card. Amazing. Everything about him is good. In this format, pretty much every deck dies to Abyss Dweller, which is amazing. You've got your 3 Evolves Wars. Lagia is slightly better than Dweller in this format. I mean, than Dolka in this format, in my opinion. So, which is why I go with Lagia. But you can actually play 3 of both, to be honest. It really doesn't matter. They're both amazing cards. And 1 Draco Berserker of the Tangy, just in case my Gamma resolves. I'm going second, so I'd rather have that than like an Omega or something, because Draco Berserker is really good at facilitating OTKs as well. Moving into the side deck, we have our 3 Lancia. Lancia, really good hand trap this format. Deals with a lot of decks, prevents them from doing stuff. Things like Adamancipator, for example, you'll stop their block drag and do a lot of things. You can slow down decks like Eldritch as well. You can slow down, if Thunder comes back, it'd be good against them as well. Stops the mirror match as well. Really hard denies Dinos, actually, because if you stop them from vanishing, suddenly half of the deck can't even play. So yeah, Lancia, I really do like it. Token Collector, another really good hand trap that we don't see enough, but when it does come out, I mean, it really does completely destroy your opponent. And one of the things I think that makes Token Collector so good is that once you've seen it once, you have it for the whole game, because it can activate from the hand or the graveyard. So I mean, this card's amazing. It's just so good. I definitely think people should start playing Solid side decks more, because it deals with all those Halka Fibrax combos. We've got 3 Dark Rune No More, very good hand spell. I only bring this out if I'm really unsure if I can beat someone going second, because I am focused on OTKing, but it's still a really good spell to have. 3 Forbidden Droplet. This is the better version of Dark Ruler, so if you haven't got the money, go for Dark Rulers. If you have, go for Forbidden Droplets, because it is just really good, this format, at kind of stunning your opponent. And then 3 Evenly Matched, another really good hand trap. Another good going second card that you can play in this deck is like a Twin Twisters for back row. Twin Twisters is always going to be good. Mystic Mine, as I mentioned before, that's another really good going second card. But guys, that is my Dinosaur deck profile. This deck is amazing. Definitely try it out. You're going to be seeing a lot of success with it in this format. So thank you for all watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.